If you've read Percy Jackson or seen the show, you know something the books never really explain. Athena and Poseidon hate each other, not rival each other, not disagree, hate. Their children can barely be in the same room. Their temples look away from each other. The goddess of wisdom and the god of the sea have been locked into a feud so deep that thousands of years of storytelling haven't resolved it. The real reason goes back to a single afternoon on a hill in Greece, a contest between two gods, a city that had to choose, and what the city did to its own women afterward. Thousands of years ago, somewhere in the Bronze Age, a city was being built on a rocky hill in Attica. It didn't have a name yet. Its people were just beginning to understand what kind of place they wanted it to be. And according to the myth, two gods showed up to compete for the right to be its patron. Every Greek city had one. A patron god meant protection, prestige, favor in divine politics. The relationship was mutual. The god got worshippers and a temple. The city got a guardian who would fight for it on Olympus. Most cities didn't get a choice. They inherited their patron, or the temple had been built generations before anyone could remember, or a king had declared it centuries earlier. This city was different. This city was new, and two gods wanted it. Athena, goddess of wisdom, warfare, and craft, daughter of Zeus, born fully armored from his skull, strategic, patient, ruthless when necessary, and Poseidon, god of the sea, god of earthquakes, god of horses, brother to Zeus, older, more volatile, used to getting what he wanted by force. Neither would yield, so the gods of Olympus arranged a contest. Each one would offer the city a gift. The city would choose. The loser would accept the outcome peacefully. That was the agreement. Poseidon went first. He climbed to the top of the hill, the rocky outcrop that would later be called the Acropolis. He raised his trident, and he struck the stone. Where the trident hit, the rock split open and salt water gushed up. A spring. In some versions, what Poseidon produced was a horse charging out of the broken rock. But the oldest and most widely cited version says it was a saltwater spring, a promise of naval power. The sea itself, made available in the heart of the city, it was a dramatic gift, loud, impressive, distinctly Poseidon. Then Athena stepped forward. She did not raise a weapon. She did not strike the ground. She knelt, planted something in the earth, and stepped back. An olive tree. It grew from the rock, slowly at first, then all at once. By the time the contest ended, it was fully grown. The olive tree offered everything a Mediterranean city needed: oil for cooking, oil for lamps, oil for soap and medicine and trade, wood for ships and buildings, fruit that preserved for months. A single olive tree could feed a family. A grove of them could feed an economy. Poseidon offered the sea. Athena offered the means to survive on land. The city chose. Who exactly did the choosing depends on which version of the myth you read. In some versions, a king named Cecrops made the call, a half-man, half-serpent founder figure who judged the gifts and picked Athena. In other versions, the gods of Olympus voted. The male gods sided with Poseidon. The female gods sided with Athena. Zeus abstained. The goddesses outnumbered the gods, so Athena won by one vote. But there is a third version, and this is the one that matters. In this version, the people of the city voted. Every citizen got a say. The men voted for Poseidon. The women voted for Athena. There were more women than men. Athena won by a single vote. The city took the name of its new patron. It became Athens. And Poseidon lost his mind. Poseidon was not supposed to retaliate. That was the rule. Loser accepts the outcome. Poseidon did not care about the rule. He sent the sea. The Athenian plain flooded. Salt water poured across the farmland and into the lower city. Fields were ruined. Crops died. Wells went brackish. People drowned. Athens was still a new city. It did not have the infrastructure to survive this. The flood threatened everything the olive tree was supposed to make possible. The goddess of wisdom had won the contest, but the god of the sea was going to drown her city before she could do anything with it. Zeus had to intervene. He ordered Poseidon to stop the flood. Poseidon agreed on one condition. The city had to punish the people who had voted against him. The people who voted for Athena, according to this version, were the women. So the women of Athens were punished. 3 things were taken away from them. They lost their right to vote in civic matters. They lost the ability to pass their names down to their children. From that day forward, children would take the father's name only, and they lost the right to be called Athenian women. The word itself, Atheniae, was banned. That is what the oldest sources say. The city that had chosen the goddess of wisdom, a goddess who had won through the votes of its own women, had to strip those women of their rights to calm down the god who lost. Athena won the contest. The women won the vote. And the women paid for it for the rest of Athenian history. This is the part of the myth that rarely gets told in the children's versions. If you were an Athenian woman, if you had just won the vote and then watched your rights get taken away to calm down a god who lost, would you still have voted for Athena? Tell me in the comments. Here's what this story is actually about. The contest between Athena and Poseidon is usually framed as a nice fable about wisdom beating force. Olive tree good, salt water bad. Athens chose correctly, that's why it became a great city, the end. But the myth the Greeks actually told themselves was darker than that. They told themselves that choosing wisdom was the right answer, and that the losing god made them pay for it anyway. That even the correct choice had a cost. And the cost was paid by the people who had chosen correctly in the first place. The women voted for Athena. The women were punished. In the Greek imagination, this was not an injustice to be corrected. It was an origin story to be accepted. It explained why Athenian women in the historical period, the period of democracy and philosophy in the Parthenon, could not vote, could not inherit in their own name, and were confined to the household. The greatest city of the ancient world, the birthplace of Western civilization, told itself that its women had lost their rights because a sea god got angry. That is why Athena and Poseidon hate each other. It is not really about the contest. It is about what the contest cost Athena's own worshippers. Every woman who was denied a vote in historical Athens was, in the mythic frame, still paying Poseidon's debt. Athena never forgot that. Neither did he. The feud did not end with Athens. Medusa, in the older versions of the myth, was a priestess of Athena. Poseidon cornered her inside Athena's own temple and assaulted her. The act was a double insult. He violated the priestess, and he did it in a sacred space belonging to the goddess he hated. Athena's response was complicated. In the versions that have survived, she punished Medusa, turned her hair into snakes, made her gaze turn men to stone, exiled her to a cave. This is often told as cruelty. But some later readings see it differently. Athena could not punish Poseidon, so she turned Medusa into a weapon no man could approach. A priestess who had been assaulted in a temple became a woman no man could touch again. Whether that was protection or punishment depends on who is telling the story. Either way, the pattern holds. Poseidon acts, a woman pays. Athena watches. And then there is Odysseus. The Odyssey is the greatest surviving story of the ancient world, and its entire plot runs on the feud. Odysseus is Athena's favorite mortal. Poseidon spends the entire epic trying to kill him, not because Odysseus has done anything to deserve it, but because he is Athena's. 10 years of storms, monsters, and shipwrecks, Odysseus's crew dies around him. His home falls into chaos. His wife is besieged by suitors, and the only reason any of it happens is because Poseidon lost a contest on a hilltop centuries earlier. The feud outlasts every mortal involved. It shapes history through the people who get caught in it. Percy Jackson fans ask why Athena and Poseidon hate each other. The books never really answer. The real answer is that they competed for a city and Athena won, and Poseidon punished her worshippers for it, and she has never stopped being furious about what he made her women pay. It is not a rivalry between gods. It is an old wound between allies who were never allies. A wound made in a moment when the contest ended and the flood came anyway. Athens chose wisdom, and wisdom had to watch while the sea god took his share of the payment out of the women who had chosen her. That is why they hate each other, and honestly, who could blame her?